Hello everyone and welcome to yet another deck profile, and this week we're talking about the one and only Lugia VSTAR. This deck was actually borrowed to me by AuraSphereTCG, so check him out. His socials will be in the description down below. And actually he played this deck in the Cup at Gdansk and at the Gdansk Regionals, where he did really well with it. So that's why I think this deck list is definitely worth taking a look at. So, for our Pokemon, we have 3 Lugia V-Star with the Summoning Star V-Star ability that gets our Archeops from the discard onto our bench. We also have 3 Lugia V, which are the predecessors of Lugia V-Star. We also have 4 Archeops, so we definitely get 2 of them from the hand into the discard as soon as possible. And to get our supporters, we have 2 Luminion Vs. We also have 2 Minchinos and 2 Chinchinos as our very aggressive high damage output single price attackers. We also have a Fluttermane to shut off the opponent's active Pokemon abilities such as Iron Thorns. We have 1 Squawkabilly to empty our hand on the first round, hopefully discarding the Archeops. We have 1 Iron Hands to get multiple prize turns. We have 1 Blood Moon Ursaluna as the late game attacker. And as our late game attacker, we also have Widear V. So for our items, we have 4 Ultra Ball to get the Pokemon from our deck into our hand, hopefully discarding Archeops along the way. We have 4 Capturing Aromas. We have 2 Nest Balls to get the basic Pokemon from our deck onto our bench. We have 4 Boss's Orders for Gust. We have 3 Professor's Research to discard our hand and start over. And speaking of starting over and adding hand disruption also to Iono. And to get our Archeops and Lugias out, just Archeops, sorry, we have 1 Jacques. We also have 2 Stadiums, and those are the 2 Mesagosas. For our energies, we have 4 Double Turbo Energies. We have 4 Jet Energies. We have 4 Gift Energies. We have 3 Mist Energies. We have 1 V-Guard Energy. And a spec of choice is the Legacy Energy. Okay, so how this deck is supposed to be played. First thing, you always want to go first. And in your first round, you want to get the Lugia V onto your bench or active spot as soon as possible, at least 1, maybe even 2. And in your second turn, you would want to have a Lugia V-Star on the active or on the bench, and 2 Archeops in the discard pile using either Professor's Research, Ultra Ball, or anything like that to flip the V-Star and get the Archeops onto the bench to accelerate all the special energies from our deck onto our Pokemon. So that's sort of the general idea, and yeah, everything else, it's a bit more nuanced depending on which matchup you play. And speaking of matchups, I would like to mention the most unfavored one first, and that is definitely the Iron Thorns EX. It's a very difficult matchup. First of all, it shuts off your V-Star abilities, so you can't get Archeops from the discard onto the bench, which stops your energy acceleration. All in all, not great. Second of all, it hits for weakness. So there are 2 things that make this matchup almost unwinnable, and that's why we have Fluttermane in our deck to prevent that from happening. So just 1 round Fluttermane needs to be in the active to shut down the Iron Thorns' ability, and that's when we can use the V-Star. That's when we can do everything that this deck needs to do in order to start actually playing. So that's the first thing, the first matchup, the very difficult one, and let's talk about the favored ones. So by far most difficult matchups for the vast majority of this meta are the Snorlax stall and the Pidgeot control. In every other deck, except Lugia VSTAR, it's very difficult to come across the stall and control archetypes, but Lugia has 4 Jet energies in the deck, which helps you switch out your Pokemon to get the attacker into the active to knock out their, I don't know, Snorlax, Wellspring, Mask, Ogre or anything that prevents us from retreating, which, yeah, makes this matchup almost easy, actually. So that's really interesting. That is, I think, the one of the few decks that actually have a very, very, very good matchup into the stolen control archetype. And everything else is pretty much 50-50. It go plus minus, I don't know, 10%. Just like everything else in this meta, because we have a very broad meta, and yeah, everything is about 50-50 between each others. And yeah, it has a very good matchup spread into the control, and you just, if you play Lugia, you just hope you don't run into the Iron Thorn CX. And another very difficult matchup, also the Miraidon EX. Why? Hits for weakness, usually has the Iron Thorns in the deck as well, so yeah. You hope you don't run into the electric decks, everything else should be kind of a breeze. So yeah, thanks so much for watching and see you next time.